Welcome to The American Dream. I'm your host, Karen Stone, and today we're pulling back the curtain on a piece of the beginnings of the Sundance Film Festival. This segment isn't about the stories you've already heard or seen. It's not about the fashion or the fanfare from the thousands of industry folks and celebrities. It's a bit of a tribute to the way we were. We'll be inside the Egyptian Theater, where the festival anchored when it moved to Park City. And then we'll move over to the Eccles Center, where I'll be interviewing a longtime journalist and community activist in Park City with stories that might surprise you. Are you ready? Let's go. Park City isn't a backdrop to the festival. The Egyptian Theater, as well as the community of Park City, play as big a role as the filmmakers. Fun fact, Robert Redford, the name that most people associate with the film festival and the Sundance Institute, personally stood in front of the Egyptian Theater offering tickets at a time when no one was really interested in independent films. The initial theater was built by miners for performing arts in the late 1800s. The Great Fire of 1898 took down the original theater along with most of Main Street, and then the Dewey Theater was built. In 1916, the theater unfortunately collapsed due to the weight of snow after a major snowstorm. But it was rebuilt in the 1920s and was one of over 100 theaters in the US named the Egyptian Theater shortly after the discovery of King Tut's tomb. It changed ownership and names, eventually would get a complete facelift, and would take back the name the Egyptian Theater in 1981. Today, it serves as a movie theater during Sundance, as well as a venue for concerts and live theater from musicals to dramas. Today, I am interviewing Terri Orr, longtime community activist here in Park City, and somebody who's had access to some of the most entertaining stories of the Sundance Film Festival since 1980. Terri was also the former editor of the Park Record and the founder of the Park City Institute. Terri, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, you tell a story about the podium that is here at the Eccles Center that has been used by so many movie actors, directors, producers. Tell us the significance of this podium.
I had a cartoonist who was brilliant, and the cartoonist graduates into doing other work, including sculpture work. And so he designed this wonderful freeform cello that he took, a regular cello, and then gave it the John Helton touch. It was not fully finished when the festival opened, and he said, "It looks fine, just don't let anybody put their full weight on it." And we said, well, sure, that's easy to do. But the very first person who decided to put his full weight on it was Michael Moore. And so the documentary filmmaker, and luckily it didn't collapse, but we all were holding our breath.
That's a great story. As a Hoosier and an Indiana University alum, you shared a story with me about the closing party, specifically about Hoosiers. Can you share that story?
So it was always a challenge to find a place where we could wrap up the festival and have a party. So the city owned a building for a long time, the War Memorial Building that had been built on Main Street. A local developer, Mac McCoy, purchased the building to try and figure out what next to do with it. And it was in that phase of not knowing what to do with it that someone said, maybe we could use that for the after party. And people decorated, as you would in high school, the hoops themselves. There were a lot of 30-something, 40-something women who still had their cheerleading costumes, and they were only too happy to dust them off, bring them out. But everyone dressed up, and everyone had a great time, and it was quintessential Park City and quintessential the beginnings of Sundance.
Thank you for coming along this journey through the history and stories of Sundance Film Festival, where movie magic meets the magic of the mountains. We'll see you next time.